Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. Apologies for the lack of video last week, but everyone's got to take some time off sometime. Anyway, this week we are looking at this little guy. This is the newer 25mm lens for Canon EOS M mount. Let's go. Okay, so first off the bat, as you can see, this lens is tiny. It's only got a teeny tiny 46mm filter thread on it, and as you can see, the front element is actually really small as well. It does have a maximum aperture of f1.8, and this is adjustable on the lens itself. It's adjustable with a non-stop or stepless aperture ring, and it's relatively smooth to go from one to the other. Now, admittedly, this is the first EOS M style lens that I've ever owned. Everything up till now has been an adapted EF lens using Viltrox EF adapters. However, I've got to say that I am extremely impressed with the actual weight of this thing. It's only 152 grams, which means that when you actually combine a Canon M50 with this lens, you've got a tiny package that only weighs 539 grams. Now, this lens does not have autofocus, it's not electronic in any way, everything is manual. That does mean that you've got to be proficient at pulling focus and comfortable in doing so. It's not going to be a problem thanks to the wonderfully smooth focus ring. If not too smooth, there is a little bit of resistance, and much more resistance than on my Nifty 50, which is a nightmare to pull focus on. This is much better, you can't get any worse than my Nifty 50. You can slightly feel the cheaper construction in this though, because as you can hear, there is a bit of grating going on inside there when you're twisting it. You can basically just hear the bearings. At only £55 on Amazon though, you can't really complain. There was a lightning deal that allowed me to pick this up for £47, which is why I got it, but your mileage may vary. So specs aside, what is it like to use? Well, after a day of using it around the house, I've got to say I'm pleasantly surprised. This was a very nice lens to use for capturing candids of family and pets, and I can imagine that it would be just as good for using out on the street as well. The tiny package makes it relatively concealable, as well as not drawing too much attention to yourself with a big old lens when you're out shooting on the streets. I would also say it's great for travel photography. It's quite small, you don't have to worry about carrying a big lens around, and also I'd say you could probably get away with vlogging with this thing. Now, obviously it's manual focus, but when you're kind of holding it at a certain angle and a certain distance the entire time, you don't really have to worry about focus too much. And with the quickly adjustable aperture, I'd say that you can get great control over your lighting situation without having to faff around with ISO and shutter speeds. I feel the image comes out pretty sharp and pretty clean. I would quite happily continue to use this lens as a small, light travel lens. But would I recommend it? Well, that depends. If you're not after anything fancy and you can live with the manual focus, then this lens is great. It's relatively cheap, it's relatively clean, it's relatively sharp, and to be honest, other than that, I can't really fault it other than the slightly cheaper build quality, but you're paying £55, what can you expect? But if you're after something with better optics, maybe image stabilization and autofocus, then obviously this isn't for you, given that it doesn't have any of those things. You could probably pick up for around about £55 a kit lens for your system, whether or not you're a EOS M user, whether or not you're an EF user or whatever. You can pick up a kit lens for around about 55 quid that will likely have image stabilization. Obviously it'll enable autofocus within the camera itself, and it will probably have slightly better optics because it's come from a more reputable camera manufacturer, someone like Canon, Sony, Nikon, etc. So, in conclusion then, is there a space for this lens on the market? Yes, it's an affordable prime lens with good sharpness and usability. It has average build quality, which enables good portability at a much lower cost than a lot of the small EOS M glass. Alright, that is it for this video. I hope you liked it. Don't forget to hit the like button if you did. If you didn't, feel free to share it on Twitter for that free promotion. Get subscribed, like the bell to stay up to date for whenever I release a new video, and until the next one, see ya.